Hi, I'm going to talk about something that sometimes can be controversial, and a lot of people have different opinions about it, and that's God. If you're new to my channel, I'm Rhonda Hensley. I'm a licensed professional counselor, life coach, influencer, and a woman in recovery from codependency. I teach on topics that are from my experience, not a concept or something that I've necessarily studied, or it's from personal experience and what has worked for me. I want to talk today about God. And I was raised in a Christian home. I'm from the Bible Belt, southern Oklahoma, and my parents were church-going people. I was a little drugged Baptist. I was drugged to that Baptist church every time the doors were open. And, I grew up around that. And it had its big influence. And through a series of events and some childhood trauma and some things that happened, I began to think that I was going to go to hell and God was going to punish me. And I had this kind of begin to get this warped view of, a spiritual life. And that pretty much was part of my belief system, that God was a punishing God and that He orchestrated and had control of my life, outside influences, and that there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it. And over the years, and as my life began to unravel and I got to recovery, one of the first things I heard is that there would be no recovery without spiritual growth. And, well, I was already mad at God because He hadn't done what I had told Him to. So, and I equated God with a feeling. I had to feel God. I had to feel that spiritual stuff. And I didn't feel that. All I felt was I was mad at God. I was really mad at myself. But so I had to look at that belief during my recovery and come up with God as I understand Him. God, what God means to me. And, I had to do some work about the church stuff and other work. And, I can remember going to church camp, as a teenager. And it was this week long and a bunch of kids, and it was great. And, it would come to Friday night and they would have the big call to service, call to worship. And, I would have that feeling and the shame would be dropped. I felt forgiven. I'd fall on my face on the altar and I had that feeling, and would come home just, on a mountaintop, feeling free. And then 2 weeks later, I was doing the same old stuff, feeling the same old way. And so because of that experience, I linked up a belief that to feel connected to God, it was that feeling, that overwhelming feeling of freedom and excitement. And I know today that God is not a feeling. God is a fact. God is a fact in my life. I know He's there, and I trust Him, and I don't have to feel His presence to know that, and to know that I can tap into the spiritual. God as I understand Him today is, man, I don't understand Him. I don't understand, because humanly, I'm not capable of understanding that. One thing I do understand is that God had never wanted to be me, and I certainly wanted to direct my life and be Him. And so that ego comes from the human side, and I have to tap into the spiritual side to grow and to grow in my personal life, grow, develop, and expand in my professional life. And so I have to tap into the spiritual meaning and purpose and love and joy and all of those things that I equate with spirituality. God doesn't move. It's kind of like the story about Ma and Pa in the truck. And they're going along, and Ma's sitting over there bitching about Pa's not as close to her, and he doesn't sit next to her, and all of this, and she's scrapping and moaning, and Pa's driving along, and all of a sudden, he just goes, well, I ain't the one that moved. Because, see, she used to sit next to him in the bench seat of the pickup truck, and now she's over there on the door. So she's the one that moved, but she's griping and complaining because he's not close to her anymore. It's the same way with me and God. God's not the one that moves. I do. I let fear take over. I let what other people think of me, all of those codependent crazies, I call them, and I want to help people, or I think I know what's best for people, or all those things that I have done, in my codependent crazies. And I have to stop. I have to get still. And I have to listen to that still small voice for that inspired action, for that next thing to do, to feel secure and have faith that I can change my life. I may not have the power. In recovery, I learned that my problem was lack of power. The solution is that it takes a power greater than myself. And a power greater than myself is anything but me. And I have to not be self-reliant, and I have to rely on, tapping into the spiritual. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. God is fact. He's not a feeling. And if I trust the feelings, they're probably going to lead me astray. But if I believe in the spiritual truths of the universe, they're spiritual truths. They run through everything. And I've lived right smack dab in the middle of Islamic religion, and the spiritual truth is a spiritual truth. And it's the same way with Judaism or Christianity or, laws of the universe or any of that. And so I'm going to trust that God is a fact in my life. And that word God can turn you off. But it's good orderly direction, or it's great outdoors, or it could just be, it can be my friends, as long as it's a power outside of myself that leads me to seek a spiritual side of myself. And that's what I would want for you today. And that's what makes me be able to just be myself, to be free, to be who I am today, because that's who God created. And in that is a wondrous thing. And I can get purpose and meaning and my worth from that. And I don't have to seek it outside of myself. And so I want to leave you with this one thing, is to be you on purpose. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit like if you enjoyed this. Leave me a message. Maybe you didn't like this and you disagree. I want to hear that too. So, yeah, just be you.